in regards to game audio. I've shifted. My career is a bit interesting because I've shifted from this composing side of my profession into
Hmm.
being more of an audio lead and an audio director in the company. When I'm dressing the audio lead hat in my company, I'm checking deliveries, I'm talking to producers, I'm talking to programmers, I'm talking to the creative teams of the games that we produce,
Yeah.
trying to understand the roadblocks ahead, trying to understand what are the delivery schedule, and trying to shape what is the perfect pipeline for us to deliver the content that they need to deliver. And then once we've done with this communication with the studio, I turn my back to the studio, and inside the studio and with the team, we discuss on what is the best way that we can tackle the demands of this project. When I'm using the audio director, CEO's hat in the company, I'm thinking more about what is the sound of Flutu? What is the impact that we are delivering in the project that we are there? Why do people choose us? So
Mm.
why do a certain studio prefer us over a freelancer, for example?
Pro Audio Secrets, a show that helps you to find your own voice in sound. I'm super hyped about this episode. I asked Victor to come onto the show because I'm really inspired by all the things he's doing, organizing, bringing people together, running his own business. And these are things I'm really interested in. And the conversation was really fruitful for me personally. I could learn a lot about business in general, some basic advice there. And if you want to make a career in audio, I think this conversation is definitely for you. So have fun watching.
Thanks, Bastian, for the invitation to be here. I am a fan of your work. I follow all your videos. I learn a lot from them. I think I've been following you from the beginning, so I'm an early adopter on the Foley school and a Foley student. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. And yeah, as you mentioned, I really like your energy. I really like your philosophy of sharing. And by having when we share knowledge, I think that we raise the bar collectively in the world of audio.
Hmm.
And I think that's one of my missions also here, to raise this bar and to help people to achieve their dreams from their audio perspective. So I truly believe that an audio experience of a game, for example, really shapes the experience of the player. It enhances the screen time, it enhances the narrative side of it, it enhances the IP value of it. So this is all my mission, to share more information about game audio so we can have better sounding games being released.
Yeah, I really like your approach as well. And the first time I got to know your name was about the Game Audio Meetup at Gamescom 2 years ago, because you
Mhm.
organized that, right?
Yes.
So
So
can you tell me a little bit more about yourself, what you do in generally? In general, I understand you are working mainly in game audio and you
yeah.
run your own company. And you already mentioned that your mission is also to share knowledge and to make game audio knowledge more accessible to people who want to also engage in that.
Yeah. So I'm Victor Hime. I am an audio director at Flutu Music. And at Flutu, we are a sound design house specializing in games. So we do not only do sound design, but we do original music. We work with voiceovers. We work with technical audio daily, helping game developers to make their games sound as great as it looks. And well, I started my venture as a solo composer, music composer.
Hmm.
And then after a few gigs in game audio, projects started cluttering over my lap. So I decided to hire a few fellas to help me with the development, which ended up being transforming itself in a full-time company. So now we have people working under our belt, dealing mainly with sound design, with music composition, with technical audio problems in regards to game audio. Well, I've shifted. My career is a bit interesting because I've shifted from this composing side of my profession into
Hmm.
being more of an audio lead and an audio director in the company. When I'm dressing the audio lead hat in my company, I'm checking deliveries, I'm talking to producers, I'm talking to programmers, I'm talking to the creative team of the creative teams of the games that we produce,
Yeah.
trying to understand the roadblocks ahead, trying to understand what are the delivery schedule, and trying to shape what is the perfect pipeline for us to deliver the content that they need to deliver. And then once we've done with this communication with the studio, I turn my back to the studio, and inside the studio and with the team, we discuss on what is the best way that we can tackle the demands of this project. And
All
then
right.
when I'm like using the audio director CEO's hat in the company, I'm thinking more about what is the sound of Flutu? What is what is the impact that we are delivering in the project that we are there? Why do people choose us? So
Hmm.
why do a certain studio prefer us over a freelancer, for example? And also dealing with contracts, licenses, all the bureaucratic side of business, and lawyers and accountants and all those this boring side, which fortunately I don't mind doing it, and I think
Hmm.
that that's one of of the things that really changed my professional life, is like realizing that I am an artist and also an executive producer, and I don't mind being both of them. I think that many artists do struggle loads to accept this other business side of life, and by accepting it a few years ago, it really changed the way I think, and of course my professional career.
Hmm. Interesting. So can we go back a little bit in time? I understand that you started out as a composer and then shifted towards building a company and hiring people and now being more an executive and also a creative still. So how did all this start? When was the first initial moment for you that you maybe got in contact with music or that you wanted to pursue in this path?
Great. Well, I think that everybody around here, and especially the people that listen to your podcast, I imagine we all started very young, very, very, very young, beaten by the spider music bug. And since very, very young, we wanted to be musicians. We wanted to be audio artists. We wanted to have a band. We wanted to tour. We wanted to record. We wanted to sell records. No, I think
Yeah.
everybody here did, right? And my
Okay.
and my story isn't very different than that. On the studio side, on the production side of it, the bug actually has beaten me a bit earlier than usual.
Hmm.
So with around 13 to 14 years old, I was taking my first Pro Tools course. I mean, I was a 13-year and 14-year-old geek in audio already. So
All right.
I remember like spending my first dollars that I got for, or euros, or whatever currencies. I am from Brazil, so we there we have real. My first reais in a course, in a Pro Tool course in a school in São Paulo. So
Interesting. I
since
didn't know
yeah,
that there was Pro Tools courses back then.
yeah, we used to learn using the Pro Tools HD and the Digi Design interface. I imagine you remember that.
Hmm.
It wasn't very, back then when I was 13, 14 years old, it wasn't domestic at all. It was still very, very expensive, but it was the spring of this new technology that are the sound interfaces that was arriving in the market, like Mo Tools, even the Digi Designs ones were arriving.
Yeah.
I actually managed to buy my first audio interface only when I was 18 years old or 19 years old, or still they still were very expensive back then. Now some of them are now they are quite accessible. No, you can buy your own for
Hmm.
100 euros, 80 euros. Not the best ones, but you can have it already.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, I started on this course where I've learned miking techniques, mixing techniques, mastering techniques, like analog mastering techniques. So this was my beginning in the audio production. Very early, already working with bands, with my school bands, recording them, mixing them, and not and then people started coming. since like young age because they wanted to record, they want to produce, they wanted to make something from their heads to the world. That's what I actually realized that people were coming to me because they had ideas and they
Hmm.
didn't know why and how to make that happen, especially how to make those ideas happen. So, Victor, I have this song, I want to create this and that, blah, blah, blah. But then after doing the whole thing, going through jazz schools, learning, I also study at Berkeley online, music composition. And then times went by, but this people still came with the
Hmm.
same questions. I have an idea and I don't know how to make it through the sound perspective. What do I need? And then still when I was still in jazz conservatories, which I studied double bass, by the way. Like I
Hmm.
had movie directors that came over and said, Victor, what is the pipeline? What is the perfect pipeline for me to have like a good audio in my movie? We don't know, we don't learn that in school. So that's when I started like bringing to these like short movies and independent movies, ideas of dubbing, of recording follies, when is the best time to do it, how much money and time do you have to save in production to make that happen, original music, like the whole mixing, Dolby Atmos mixing. I was started bringing to these people all these solutions on the house to make it happen.
Hmm.
And then eventually the games came by. Like a friend of mine, my first gig was like this. He called me and said, like, we actually need a sound designer for a game. Do you want to participate? Do you want to be part of it? I said, like, man, I actually never done this before. But let me see. And I was like, are you really sure you want to be working with me? I've never done this before. And he said, yeah, sure, no problem. I trust you.
All right. And
And
this was a
then,
friend of yours?
yeah, a friend of
Okay.
mine. It was a pretty fun game. It developed into a 3-year long project. It was an educational startup doing like a math game.
Mm-hmm.
And also because of this game, we kind of had to grow the company because like when I started doing it, I realized that, oh my God, games demands loads of more hands than movies and specialized hands.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout this project I started studying. I'm very passionate about self-development and studying. I think everybody here is still, but I take it very seriously and with loads of discipline. So when I started working on games and my friend invited me and he said, and I told him like, are you really sure you want to work with me? I was really scared because I didn't know back then what I would be doing. So I started
Hmm.
studying really hard into middlewares and audio implementation. And then I ended up doing like Unity and Unreal courses. And with that, like in a few months, I was already like, okay, I can do it. There's no problem with that. So it was just a matter of getting the experience in track and trying to match my experience that I had before with movies, with music, with audio post-production, with music production into games.
Hmm.
And yeah, fortunately, from this gig, we were invited to do another game, another, and people started coming over, and then we decided to, okay, so let's niche in Flutu and work exclusively with games. So let's stop talking to directors, let's stop talking to artists, and just do that. In the
Hmm.
beginning, it was really scary uh, when we took this leap of faith. But I think that when you are like when you kind of focus as you Bastian is you are very focused in Foley, you kind of realize that there are certain kinds of knowledge and experience that you can only have by niching in, by being good at one thing.
Hmm.
Loads of people come to me and say, okay, so what should I do to break into the gaming industry? Should I be more of a generalist? Should I be more specific? This is a very common question that people come to me. And I said, man, I don't know. Honestly, this is something that you have to ask yourself. Like, should you be a generalist or should you be a specialized person? My life experience told me that I have to be specialized in something, but I have friends that they are excellent in generalisms in general, and they make a living out of this. They do
Mm.
propagandas, they do movies, they do games, they do blah blah blah, they do whatever it comes to their mind. Uh, and I don't know how deep or not, but it works for them. And for me, it only worked when I kind of focused my energy.
So understanding that you are basically from the very beginning always involved into the both worlds, like being an artist, playing music yourself, but also being into the gear and people coming to you because they see this kind of producer in you and they want your feedback and these kind of things. So this goes through your whole career, right? So you started with the music like that. You helped people produce their music, and then you did the same with movies, and now you're doing this also with games. And
Yes.
what, from my experience, is really the factor that gives you the drive, from what I understand that you said, correct me if I'm wrong, you learned all the game audio because you're not only like passionate about self-development and learning, but you also had something, a job that was coming, that forced you to kind of learn it quickly, in order that you can achieve good results and, yeah, basically be make your friend happy, and from there it all took off. So in my case, um, I started basically also in music and then developed into film sound deliberately because I tried everything else. Nothing really worked because my music was always the first priority. And then only when I switched the priorities to the audio thing, I was then going into the film sound really like full on. And that way I kind of became a generalist. And only from that I developed then into a specialist to be a Foley artist, which helped me a great deal. Um, but then when I transitioned from the movies into the games industry, the offer that was made to me was basically, you don't have to know a lot about game audio. We don't want you to implement, because I was working at Ubisoft with a big team, so they wanted exactly that niched experience from me, and they wanted to squeeze as much out of it as possible. So they didn't even tell me like, you have to be learning middleware and implement all your Foley yourself. We just want you to squeeze out as many sounds, and then we have other specialists who implement them for you, and you can collaborate with them. And so you only have to understand what's going on, but you don't have to be hands-on with Wise and these things. And to be
Mhm.
honest, it was like a coin with two sides, because on the one hand, I didn't want to learn it in the first place, so therefore it was convenient, and it actually made me take the role. Because if they have told me like, look, you have to be now a pro in Wise, I might not have taken the job, to be honest, yeah. But on the other hand, it now didn't force me, like in your case, it didn't force me to learn it, so I didn't. And I now, after 5 years being employed with Ubisoft, I now know that it would have been a huge benefit for me if I just had took those couple of months that you did, and got myself up to speed. Yeah, because there was a lot of frustration going on when stuff didn't really happen, because the audio designers were busy with other stuff, and then over months, the whole game changed, so the sounds weren't even needed anymore. And therefore the frustration of never hearing my sounds in game was really like growing. And if I had the opportunity to just implement it quickly on my own and get at least a sound check, I not only would have been able to improve the sounds before I even send it over to
Mhm.
someone else, but I also had like the feedback to myself, like, okay, this is kind of working, and I can keep myself happy with this.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big learning for me too. And actually, I'm looking forward to a new game project, because now I'm freelance, and that would also force me, to get myself to learn Wise, and to be more fluent with it. I did all the courses, but it's still something else when I'm operating Pro Tools. You know, I'm really an expert. I have like 15 years of daily experience with that software. I can use it blindly, you know, and also my my keyboard is basically you can see what software I use from the buttons I click all the time, yeah.
Because yeah,
The R and
yeah.
T and whatnot.
It's all fading away.
Yeah, like zoom in, zoom out. But with Wise, I would love to be able to be as proficient, but I am not. And yeah, so kudos to you that you are so disciplined with the self-learning. And so now that you are running this company, can you still be on the creative part, or is it much more managing now for you?
Oh yeah, no, I can totally be in the creative part. And just by just finishing this wise topic, I think
Yeah.
that whenever you finish the certification that they have there, which I do recommend people to take all the way up to 301 from Wise, and now FMod's the people from FMod Fireflies uh, company, they are also releasing some official tutorials about FMod, which I also think people should be watching and learning from them.
Hmm.
It's not like it's not very serialized, just like Wises, which is more organized. And I really liked the course. I think it covers really the in depth the principles of game audio. And also, together with the course, people should be reading the books. People should be reading the game audio mixing book that's about from
Alex
uh,
Rivière.
yeah, great book. There is one about one great book from Gina Zanowski that she has like a course on code for people to learn. Like I think it's Game Audio Basics or something like that.
Hmm.
Rob Bridget from Sony has his own book as well. Great piece of
Two books
material.
actually now.
Uh,
He released a new one.
a new one now. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That
yeah.
one, the old one was pretty good. What other books I think people should be reading? Go
There's
to
a
people should
there's a
tell
new
me.
book from Greg Lester from Airwiggles, the Game Audio Pocket Master.
I haven't checked this one, but I think Greg's also really into trying to simplify the knowledge as well to people. So yeah, and now about the creative side and the business side.
Hmm.
Uh, I think that an artist, you have moments, right? And you have moments in which you have 80% of creative life in active and you have 20% of business. Sometimes you have the opposite. You have 80% of the time doing business and 20 being an artist. Um, and this is it. Like the responsibility of driving the business is mine, only mine. So no one from the company has this responsibility. So the speed that the company is growing is under my back. The communication that we're doing with the client is my responsibility. And I take this responsibility seriously because this is what drives our creative side. If I don't do my, if nobody does this, if nobody makes this job right, how can we make music and how can we make sound for games, right? So there should be someone doing it.
And how
And
did you
if,
get to that point? How come that you are kind of comfortable running a business? So did you have some input from your parents in that regard, or did you do any other experience in terms of business development?
well, when I was a musician, a performing musician, I started by forming a fan base, by selling my records, by building tours, and then like people started inviting me to coordinate their online courses. So I had like a Brazilian percussion school with a friend who also taught me loads of like how to produce external people, creative people. And I don't know, but some kind of fixation into marketing, into design thinking as well too, because I really like that. I read loads of books into this topic. I really like Seth Godin's book. I enjoy it. I enjoy it. I really enjoy how graphic designers think,
Hmm.
and I really try to think as a graphic as a actually as strategic design thinking, using this methodology of thinking, which is to understand the creative production from the perspective of the inside. So first you have like a briefing meeting in which your clients talk.
Mm.
And then you have to analyze whatever they are talking and from yourself build like certain kinds of questions that you're gonna just triple check what your client is actually talking to you and be really willing to understand what they are talking and
Mhm.
to try to translate it into processes and or into systems
Mhm.
that would be useful. I don't know, honestly, answering your question. My father is really like really into business. He's like a freelancer forever.
Mhm.
But he doesn't work with creative at all. He works with consultancy. My mother is a physiotherapist, so also
Mhm.
another solo entrepreneur. But I think that honestly, this is my belief again, Bastian, and I don't like people to be thinking that I'm imposing my lifestyle to people, right? I think that artists in 2024 should be learning more about marketing and about business. It's not only about technical self-development.
Yeah.
This is not going to make any difference once you reach to a certain level. Uh, Again, this is my experience. I
Quick one. As we are starting out this journey of podcasting and YouTube for the pro audio community and people who want to get into this community, I just want to ask you one little favor. Please follow or subscribe wherever you watch or listen this, because it helps the thing to spread and to grow, and so we can reach more people and get this community growing. So thank you very much for doing this and also for listening up to this point. And now let's get back. Enjoy the show. With your experience, and I see online you are also posting now a bit more regularly, correct me if I'm wrong,
yeah,
um, also in Portuguese language, right?
yeah.
So can you give me a bit of insight how you create your content, or like what's the what do you convey within your videos? What's your message, and who do you want to
Mhm.
reach, and what's how is that related to your own business development, let's say?
Um, I am posting regular now. I've always posted. I was posting last year. I posted 3 times a week in
Hmm.
LinkedIn, and in the beginning, but I then in the beginning of this years because projects really took all my agenda. I started posting just once a week and very regularly and very disciplined in a very disciplined way. The past month, I've entered in a roadshow, in a company roadshow, in which we visited several places in the world. I went to Manchester. I went
Hmm.
first to Barcelona. I went to Manchester. I went to Los Angeles, and I went to Lisbon
Okay.
for several events in which I was doing talks, and other ones I was just attending, meeting new people. And then we decided that it would be cool to have like a vlog like content in which because every time that we are in these events we are talking about the business or we're talking about the deliveries, talking about the benefits of having great sound experience, right? And there's always insights that comes through these moments that I think it was important for me to register during these events and to try to bring people into my reality in which is like to talk about the benefits of having a great sound experience in games. I think people like honestly, I think I realized my theory recently. I think that games school, they all start from an IT perspective, right? A technical perspective, a programmer perspective. They don't really talk deeply into not deeply, but they don't really talk deeply into arts in general, into what's beautiful, in what has been like artists. They talk about this. They learn how to copy other artists, right?
Hmm.
So different than movie directors, which they also embed themselves in this kind of feeling and these emotions of art, being artists. Game designers, game developers, they kind of lack this part of understanding, especially how does the music and sound enhances their own project.
Hmm.
And this is what I've been talking about. And why I speak in Portuguese? First, we lack this kind of content in Portuguese. Brazil is a country, is a massive country, and we have like really professional people living there. But somehow, because of language and because of being far out, far distant from the production hubs, we kind of miss out in the party.
Hmm.
So this is me trying to find some balance within like my own country and trying to bring what I am learning from the world and trying to like, okay, guys, this is it. And we are doing this extra effort of like adding subtitles, English subtitles, the videos, so we don't leave other folks out of the information. I try to do my best in communication, in communicating the idea. We have written posts in English. Yes, the video isn't spoken in Portuguese, but the subtitles are reviewed in English, so people can have a better understanding of what I'm talking about. And yeah, it relates to my audience. Who is my audience? I mean, I think audiences are greater than clients first. I think that whenever we're doing content, we are thinking about reaching people that are not necessarily going to buy from you. And a
Yeah.
small percentage of them are actually going to buy from you. So, and not, and this small percentage, are they really going to watch to the end of the movie? Are they like, what's their viewing percentage rate that really makes sense for these guys who are busy in their daily lives to kind of stop and learn about what I'm doing, which I kind of realize they know a bit. These guys who are the people that I'm talking to, my clients, they already know everything I'm talking about because they want to buy from me because they know that what I'm selling is important for them. But what actually I realize they are doing whenever they are watching the content, they are like, okay, what Victor is saying is important, and more people should be watching this
Hmm.
because more people should think about like having the best sound experience in their games. Not only me, but the other one there, the other one there. So I think the idea here is evangelizing on like these benefits.
So you're actually advocating to other game devs and producers to think about sound more deeply and to consider it more for their creative realization and the vision.
Yeah, and I don't think that only showing uh, my doll screen, it will make any sense for them. Because whenever I see like tutorials, like rigging tutorials, if you ever watched, we're not riggers, we're not animators. We understand shit about it. We
Hmm.
don't know if the guy is good enough or bad enough. So I think they have the same impression for us audio folks. They don't know. They don't know. They're gonna watch like the lines and colors and sound. You don't know when if they are using headphones whenever they are watching your content, like from the doll perspective. I mean, so whenever you're showing technical things to them. So having this understanding of like people that actually gonna buy from you doesn't know anything, technically speaking, from audio makes me realize that I have to reshape the way I communicate my my profession from
Yeah,
a
I get that.
perspective that they will know actually what I'm talking about.
And from your experience, what is the best way to grow a sound business? How to get clients? Is it going to events or is it interacting in content or networking on LinkedIn or what is your strategy?
I think the best way is if I think this is a very complex uh, question to make because there isn't an answer because we chose audio and music. First of all, we are not doctors, we're not lawyers, which have like step by step until you reach a certain level. No, everyone, me, you, and everyone else hearing this are like hustling their way around life. They are understanding how life works. Sometimes they are lucky, sometimes they are unlucky, sometimes they meet people that push them forward, and the opposite as well. And so there isn't a precise answer to that. What I realize is that you being more human centric, less egocentric, makes you connect more with more people, makes more people want to connect with you. And I think that, again, going back to the artist's mind, right? In the sound and the musician and the sound artist minds, like it's great for us to think that we are the master incredibles of our craft. But whenever we're talking to another person, we have to first realize that this other person is also great in other things in their lives. And I think that sometimes this egocentric perspective that we have towards ourselves and towards our greatness really pushes people further out whenever they're trying to do business with us, because people want to do business with nice people, with people that are communicative, the people that they're reliable, no?
Hmm.
Not only with experts. We're all experts here, but okay, from the experts, what makes you different from the other expert? Your experience. Okay, so Victor knows more about this genre of games. Pasha knows more about that. Great. But what it comes to the point that everybody knows the same. What are you going to decide upon? Like me, I would choose a better person to work with. So someone that's not late, someone that keeps the word, someone that's reliable, someone that's in always in the lookout of learning new stuff, someone responsible. And I think that having these clear principles in mind, I think that's it may sound too broad whenever you ask me, what's the best way to improve your, because let's think, think a little bit about some scenarios. You have this person that doesn't like to talk, doesn't like to engage with other people, is very it doesn't this person hasn't yet discovered the best way to communicate their ideas with words, right? Not with
Hmm.
music or so, just words.
All right.
uh and they go to Gamescom where we've been together, and I say to this person, well, the best way to make business is to go to events. And then this person goes to the event. He can't, he or she freaks out because there's too many people. He doesn't know how to talk. Where are the people? Those massive walls and everyone, like everyone meeting, and am I missing something out? Did I do something wrong? Blah, blah. And all those questions comes to your mind. So what about that tip that Victor gave me, that going to events is the best way to make business? Okay, so there are initial steps that you have to take from your personal and person side that will enhance your business capabilities.
Yeah. The thing that struck me lately is the sharing is caring, of course, and the age of gatekeeping is over. I mean, that's clear to me. What I'm not sure at the moment is how to make sense of that in terms of business, because I could either think, okay, my customers are not only companies that hire me for my being a Foley artist, I'm also coaching other people and get them up to speed. These are also my clients. Yeah. And that's
Mhm.
actually what I do right now. Um, I also give a lot of value out to people who don't want to be my clients, and I don't have hard feelings about that. But now, for example, knowing Greg Lester and Lewis with Air Wiggles, they do all the stuff completely for free, and their main motivation is to get the knowledge out there and to preserve it so that it is there even when they're gone. And I think this intention is higher than what I actually do right now with, giving people the opportunity to buy from me
Mhm.
knowledge. So,
Mhm.
so I'm thinking like we all have to survive. We all have to. I mean, if you want to think business, if you want to be an entrepreneur, um, that being a condition for this whole conversation here, um, it's like, what is the path? I know as you said, it's all individual, but chasing the money, I think personally, like that's the thing I'm grinding the most at the moment. Like, it's the wrong idea. In if you want to succeed in business, you shouldn't chase the money. You should chase a higher vision, a higher purpose than that. And I think then money will follow along, and in the end, it will not be about that. That's also something I learned from Robert Dutzik, who I had a call with just for an hour on FaceTime, and then he said the same thing. He said like, I don't care about money. I just do my thing, and people reach out to me because they see the way that I perceive audio is very special, so they want that. But
Mhm.
I don't advertise it to them that they should buy it from me in a sense. So what do you think about that?
Well, I think we have to be fair first with people that are not from major hubs, because whenever they can hear like this Robert comments, they can say like, "Oh, what am I doing wrong with my life?" You know. But sometimes Robert lives in Los Angeles or lives in a I don't know where he lives actually,
In the US,
or
of course.
in the
He's
U.S. in
from
a
Poland.
place.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Originally.
in a place that's like there's Microsoft just around the corner, there's Riot just over there, which people they gather around for a beer or for a coffee in a bi-monthly meeting that we never know, that we would never know from being in Brazil or being in Germany as yourself. So I think that we have to be fair to people that yes, there are certain mysteries in the path of giving and what life gives and the universe gives you back, and you are a very spiritual person, and I think you connect deeply with that as well. I think
Mm,
that I met Greg personally during Game SoundCon this year, and I told him that how was I was impressed with the impact of his work, and I think that they are doing amazing work. I think they are really helping people to connect and to what we talked about in the beginning of this conversation, raise the bar in terms of game audio production. Uh, Chase the business. How to chase the business? I don't know. I think that going back to the principles is the main idea. Or I'm talking to artists here generally, right, Bastians? I'm not
mm,
talking to business people as me and you, okay? Because I think me and you, we have like some kind of understanding about the process that people that are like coming up, they might not. So the first thing that I would say is like, whenever we're talking about business, we are talking about salaries. So understanding how much you personally cost is the first step of having like a better financial and life, a better entrepreneurial, financial, healthy life. And why is that? Because most people they don't know. They just have their work. They earn, I don't know, I get like 2,000 euros here. I spend this amount in rent, and the rest is rest. I don't know how much I make, how much it goes, and no, no, no. And if I make a job, if I make a 10,000 euro job, what I do with this money, I buy plugins, I buy a new computer, I buy a new car, I buy la, la, la. And next month that you don't have the 10K again, you start living back with your first salary, with your 1,000 euro salary. This is not very business wise, actually. Whenever you are opening a business, you have to set a salary for yourself and for your team. And it's really hard for you to set your salary because most of the time you won't have the money in cash to pay yourself for a certain amount of month. You may have just money enough to pay yourself 3 months, and the rest of it you go like, oh, so what am I gonna do? And yes, this is how businesses are driven. Yes,
mm,
business, they usually have their money to be alive for 1 year, 2 years tops. So 2 years tops when the CEO is very, very conservative, because this is how businesses is usually led, because you need money to drive the new money that's coming in. So setting up, like having a clear understanding of how much is my life cost, how much is like, am I willing to put aside from my personal life that I could save some money for the long run. So maybe not buying that new car that you need now. Maybe keep your old car, but then you have money for the next extra 6 months with the money that you have. Oh my God, but I'm not gonna have the car. Yes, you're not gonna have the car right now. But after 6 months, maybe you can buy two cars because you are now thinking as an entrepreneurial person, not as an artist who plays, get the money, put in the pocket, plays, get the money, put in the pocket, and spend again here and there. So I think that going back to this initial business principle of how economic, like financial and economical works, how things are driven, is different from freelancers. And then again, investments. Having a clear understanding that whatever you are investing in a business, it must bring you back money in a business. There is no investment that you go like, oh, this is a personal investment in which I'm taking this course because it's an investment. People do have this understanding, right? I'm buying this plugin because it's an investment. If I was going to be your boss and you were going to say that to me, I want to say, okay, it's an investment. When and how are you going to bring the money back buying that plugin, right? I'm gonna buy this isotope plugin and bundle. It's very expensive. It's an investment because I am willing to work more with voiceover production. And I think that having the software and being managed to understand and master the software will generate more money, more work, more revenue for me. And then after X amount of works, I can pay back my investment in that plugin and then start making money out of it. And having this perspective of, and like actually writing down, I've invested this amount of money in this, so I have to recoup this money in X months. Otherwise, it's a failure, right? And I think it's a mistake it's widely spread in the freelancers mindset. I'm not being unfair here, right?
No, no. I mean, you're giving me a hard time because I lived all my life basically, earning money and spending it, and I never saved. And there was like a situation a couple of years back when I was talking to another senior sound designer from Ubisoft, Adam, shoutouts. So we were having lunch, and I was kind of thinking about the salary ladder, because what you mentioned, I was always very good in knowing my value and communicating that to my manager or employer. So I basically went into the industry with no intention of earning a lot of money because the only thing I wanted was I want to have the job. I want to be in the industry and I don't care about the money. I just had a very low cost of living and I told the guy like, look, this is what I'm spending every month, so give me that. And this was not much. And then they said like, yeah, okay, then you have a little bit more than that, but be happy, okay? So yeah, that's how it worked. That's how I got in. But then as I saw my value in the company and what I could do with the knowledge I already gained and now with the experience within the job, I then communicated, look, I want more. And then we agreed, okay, you can have more at that point in time. And when that point in time came, I went back to the office and said, look, the point in time is here. So what's about the salary raise? So I did that constantly, with all the years I worked as a full-time employee. And that in the end, I think I could manage to get an appropriate amount of money for the value I brought. Yeah. Because of the person who I am and the expertise I have and all the qualities. But then talking about salary and having this mindset of, now I'm working at Ubisoft. Within the next, if I make it from senior to expert and then have another 10 years of experience, my salary could end up in X. Yeah. And that my friend Adam stopped me and said, look, if you want to talk money, then don't talk salary. And this was something that really made me think like, okay, what does that actually mean? And I always had the drive or the will to have a side hustle and something else going on, but I never had a good idea. You know, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not good with buying and selling goods. So this is not natural to me. So I asked people who are natural in this, what could I do? And then the answer was just do what you do and just go with that, you know, just do what you're good at, and then things will fall into place eventually. And this is actually where I feel that I am right now. That I have this entrepreneurial kind of drive and motivation. I have my own vision, and I have now also the capability, the capacity to go with that vision. Um, and this feels a lot better to me personally than just being employed with someone. And I needed all those years in order to get there, and that's also for everyone different. You know, everyone has a different path. I needed more than 10, almost 15 years of being an employee to be now this entrepreneur that I always wanted to be. um, Still, I think my financial education was just not there. And I like to live, you know, I like to, and I always increased the lifestyle. The more money I earned, then I upped the lifestyle for the family. We moved into a bigger house, into a better neighborhood. Then, and this still is kind of still going on, you know. You mentioned the car. I mean, I lived a year without a car because of divorce, whatnot. And then I started very low with a very cheap car, and I drove that now for a couple of years, and it saved me a lot of money. And the smart thing would be to just keep this car and keep driving that car. But now I decided to lease a car that I really want to have. And I did a lot of thinking about that. I think in the end, still, it was an emotional decision. It was maybe a financial decision because of the tax we have here in Germany. So, in order to decrease the income, the net income that I have, maybe this makes sense. But I think in the
Hmm.
end, the amount of money I save in taxes does not equal the amount of money I'm going to spend for the car. So, this is
Hmm.
not a financial wise decision, you know? And I know that I'm very bad at that. And that's why I want to thank you for reminding me again. You know, this is also what I hear in all the entrepreneurial podcasts and people, money advisors, what they tell you. And I think there's truth to that. You know, you have to be able to save a certain amount if you want to be an entrepreneur, so that you can survive the times when it's not that good and there's no money coming in. So yeah,
Yeah, I
but
think that it's important for us to save and to be cautious about spending. But also not sacrifice yourself. I mean, if you are driving a shitty cars, maybe it's not as safe as having a new car. Maybe the car is like wasting loads of gas because it's old, and then you are buying a new electric car because it's more environmental savvy. Maybe you just need a new car, man. It's like,
I
I
mean,
mean,
thank you for
I
that.
mean, this,
You know,
I
I'm
mean,
really
there
looking
are things
forward to
that
the
we
car.
just need, like, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
that's
I've
why
been
it's an
driving this
emotional
shitty car
decision.
for the past 10 years and I need a new car. Oh, what's the investment? I don't know. Fuck that, man. I need a car. I need a car, a new one, please. Just give me the car. I mean, now we're talking about mixing our both lives. So whenever we're deciding upon having a new car or not, is like not about the studio decision. So imagine I am not the CEO from this company, from this studio, and I go like to my CEO and say, okay, I need to buy a new car, boss. He will like, it's not my business. No, I need to buy a new car because of the business. Because with a new car, I can and make more money, boss. And the boss will say, oh, now I'm seeing. Okay, here's the money for the car. So this is the boss, you yourself telling yourself like, okay, is this decision based on the business, on the studio needs, or is based and the studio needs are is simple. The studio needs is survival. There's no much more than that, like making money and surviving. This is the need of a business. There's no much more. People inside the business, they have more wills and 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 dreams. better than the business itself, right? And well, again, going back, let's share more basic stuff. Going back to basics, there are ways for you to write down your costs, right? Your business costs. And what I like to think is that you have investments, you have fixed costs, non-fixed costs, or and sometimes costs like that are sometimes fixed or not, or no non-fixed costs, fixed costs, taxes and salaries, or and taxes, and so that's all. Investment, everything that you do, trips, equipment, blah, 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 blah. Fixed cost, rent, salaries, ah, non-fixed costs. Maybe someone that you are hiring to help you for a specific project, or I don't know, a money that you have to use to hire a new artist to help you for a new foley thing. So whenever you're splitting your costs into these areas, you're analyzing how much percentage of revenue you're bringing in and how much money is being distributed into these areas of production
Hmm.
in a company. By that, you can have a better understanding like, oh, maybe my salary is too high. Maybe my salary is too low. Maybe I can spend more money in marketing for the next 3 months because I have this extra money. Instead of putting this money into my fixed costs, raising the salaries, I'd rather invest it. Because while I invest it, while I buy this new equipment, this new, while I go to this trip, I'm gonna make new business. I'm gonna make new connections. And this is very bureaucratic me talking to an audio podcast, guys. Let's talk more about creative things.
I think it's very necessary for us, man, because as you said, we're so many people. I mean, they don't want to even look into spreadsheets and they want to even bother with their own tax evaluations and those things. And this is also feedback I get from people who are coaching other musicians, for example. I also took a couple of coachings as a musician not too long ago, and the people who do that, they always tell me like, look, there are these money things that you can apply for, like government money for musicians, but people don't do it because they don't want to get to the technical stuff and they don't want to put in the time to get the sheets right. And then if you get the money, you have to, you know, be responsible to get all the receipts and whatnot. So, and these things for a lot of artists are struggling with that. So, therefore, I think it's a good topic to have,
Mhm.
especially when we talk about pro audio secrets, because you can be good in audio, but to be in pro audio, you have to be at least
A pro,
a pro, and
right?
that means you have to
A
be in business.
professional.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to be in
Yeah.
business, a professional. What you said, be reliable, be on time, be kind, be someone who people want around in their team. And the expertise you have is kind of a given, you know. No one would hire you if you don't know your audio. Um, for example, when we talk about re-recording mixing, I mean, this is kind of in the movies industry. This is one of the highest paid jobs and also with the most prestige. You get the credits in the beginning of the movie. And so this is a very high goal if someone wants to be a re-recording mixer. But when you do the job, you're much more a psychological advisor than using your audio skills. I mean, the audio skills is like driving the car. This is like on autopilot. But what you have to do is understand the room, hear everyone, balance all the opinions, and get it into your mix um, in a way that everyone feels heard and content with the result. So this is the qualities that people should look into themselves and develop aside from the audio knowledge, right?
Yeah. I think that yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think that being good is mandatory. Unfortunately,
Exactly.
there's
Yeah.
no space for mediocrity. There's no space of many doubts of people that doesn't know if they're good enough or it's okay not, this is very important. It's okay not to know and know that you don't know. It's okay. There's no problem with that. Uh, and also not knowing where you're gonna know, where you're gonna get the knowledge to face the challenge. It's completely okay. Okay. What is not okay is that if you are still struggling to pass on this first concept of am I good or enough? Because when you move to the other side, to the pro side, people are good enough. Whatever you think of them, whatever like their level of good, if they are good or bad good or really good, it doesn't mind. They are excellent. They are pros. And us, musicians and artists, we have to understand how to accept our own critical, inner critical voice. I think this is really important.
Mm.
And make peace with your own self and not judge yourself so critically. Because this is how we move on. I'm getting goosebumps here because this is how we move on to the other side, okay? Where we leave the zone of the imposter syndrome is when
Mm.
you say, okay, it's okay not to know. Maybe I'm not good enough, but I'm gonna say I'm good enough. People are gonna believe that. And by working your way around, you're gonna see that you are even better than you initially you were before. Because when you start like digging your opportunities and finding your opportunities, you start seeing that the world is actually needs you in, and
Mm.
the world is able to also pay you money for that. And then you start realizing, oh, this is my place, and you are slowly occupying your area, no, your place.
Yeah, so true. I mean, that people think that, or a lot of people are in depression and facing loneliness, and some of them might feel that they're not wanted. Huh? That's something you mentioned, right? And on a personal level, you are wanted. You have people around you that love you, even if they're not there or they're already passed away or whatnot. As you mentioned, on the professional level, it's the same. You are wanted. If you want this, there is a space for you. And that's also the end of this, the age of gatekeeping is over. So it's getting more obvious and obvious. Maybe still a lot of people are struggling and don't know how to enter and imposter their whole lives. I don't actually know. Um, but even on a very essential, like human level, let alone everyone else, just yourself, the fact that people that you are existing, is such a proof of that you are wanted to be in this world as you, the one who you are, because you're unique, and the chance that you not exist is infinitely higher. The chance that someone exists is one, and the chance that someone not exists is infinite. So so this is also like a very universal concept, for people who are struggling with self-worth. you know this shouldn't be there, because definitely everyone who's living is wanted in this life. And
Yeah, yeah, I think that we agree. I agree with that. And also trying to bring some fairness to the ground. There are people who really struggle to find, that are really struggling to find work around. And even them, they are still wanted around. And it's really important to understand that not because you are being rejected from 50 plus interviews and job propositions that you found on the internet, it makes you useless to the humankind or to the humanity. Unfortunately, there are moments in market that we can't control.
hmm,
That there's not many jobs available. For example, right now, what we everyone is seeing is that people from massive companies are being laid off as waste, right? So just by this movement of we are seeing like massive companies that usually are the ones that pays the salaries and pays the money for freelancers. They are actually trying to reduce their own fixed costs
hmm,
by loads first, and then they will decide whatever they will do with the money that they have in safe in their bank account. So this is the moment that we are living right now. We are seeing
Hmm.
loads of indie studios being opened, people starting to build their own ideas. It's a moment of renewals in the game development. So I understand people that goes like, okay, I am really wanted in the world, but I can't find a job for me in the industry. Yeah, this is a reality. Keep on finding, keep on looking, keep on looking, keep on sending this resume, keep on putting out, find ways for you to survive in the way. Don't like don't push yourself and your family resources to the limit just because you want to make this. If you're seeing that things are getting really difficult for you to manage and you're not seeing so much of responses from the market from the your resume, start broadening up your search even temporarily.
Hmm.
Find ways that you can keep on practicing and keep on sending these resumes until you find your place.
Hmm. It's very good advice. Victor, think you should do some how to walk the Gamescom as a non-social person or like as a beginner. How can I make the most of going to a games convention or something like that? So that could be something for the next Gamescom. What do you
That
think
would be
about that?
cool. Yeah, yeah, that would be really happy to share.
Gamescom with Victor.
A tour, a tour.
Yeah, like
Let's
how to make the most of it as an audio person.
yeah,
I would totally opt for that.
great.
Thank you very much for the conversation. And talking about or speaking about Gamescom, I still want to really do this to have like after your event, we can have a barbecue at my place. We have to maybe organize some transportation for that.
Hmm.
But yeah, we can talk about that later. Still,
Awesome.
I'm really hoping to do this together with you.
Awesome. Count on me.
Cool. Thanks again, and yeah, all the best for the things you do, and also for the whole Brazilian continent. That this mission that you're on will sparkle and will be fruitful for all the people there.
Thank you so much, Bastian. It's an honor to be here. And yeah, congratulations again for your work. It's amazing. It's impressive. People don't know much about Foley and doesn't know the importance of Foley in the production itself. So yeah, thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you very much for listening up until the end. It means the world to me. It means that the thing we talk about resonates with you and that you are already part of this community. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do me the favor and hit that button now because it helps us to grow as a community. And if you have further questions, please just leave them in the comments or reach out to me via DM on Instagram, for example, or shoot me an email. You can also go to my website and apply for my coaching, get a free call, a free introduction call. So see you there or see you in the next video. Peace, the Foley teacher.